Hello and welcome to Echoes Talk number 9099. It's actually just 9. We're going to be talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly of the final test. Can I get a sound check, please, everybody? No sound check.
Yeah.
Anyone?
Hi,
Sound
everybody.
check?
This is Crazy. Can you hear me? Hope so.
Sound checks are terrible.
What's the sound check?
Sound check is when everyone actually is supposed to tell me that they can hear me. They can hear me fine, so no one actually said anything. Good job, guys. Good job.
Those bastards.
Yeah, they're just like not saying anything while we're sitting here talking and nothing's happening.
Man,
So-
those guys are assholes.
That's my trick.
Yeah. Messing with my head. So we're going to be talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly of the final test. Please put the link for this stream in all of your Discords. Make sure we can get as many people in here as possible. Thank you for the follows at the beginning. Casaro, Hexoas, Chop Chop Yo, Fallout 80, and Figov... I can't pronounce that. I apologize. Crystal 1Z, I guess that is, and Foul Beerkin, Shrub Stank, and Business Sausage. What is a business sausage? I have no
Wait,
idea.
Shrub Stank.
Shrub Stank, yeah.
That's weird. That's
Why?
one of my D&D names.
Your D&D Shrub Stank, and someone's called your D&D name is Shrub Stank.
Most random.
I don't know. Just a random coincidence.
It's random. Today we have Gin and Tonic, Puerto de Indias. So if I start giving away secrets, it's because I'm drunk. We also are all playing the game today, and I am currently camping a Chinese system who tried to kill our base earlier. So if I disappear, saying Sam's a bit loud on your end, so I'm going to turn him down myself. Don't worry, that's fine. You want to do a Sam test again, please?
A what test?
You just needed to speak because I turned you down a little bit because they said you're a bit loud. Right, so jumping into the actual conversation, how we feel about the actual final test. Can I get any comments in the chat regarding the final test? What do you like? What do you hate? And we know everyone thinks that the Nana boat is actually OP as shit, but it's not as OP as you guys think, which will give you some information later regarding these banana boats. How do you feel about everything so far, Mr. Samwise Gamgee? I mean, Sambridge. Sambrig. He's gone dead.
In the game itself. It's like as a player flying through space, killing stuff, it's fantastic. As a CEO trying to admin a corp, it's a bit of a pain in the ass. But we'll work on it.
Sounds good. And what do you reckon, Mr. Swede? The crazy Swede.
Oh my, are you sure you want to know? No.
Yeah, I mean, keep it as short as possible, but go for it.
Yeah. So I am enjoying a lot of the tunings they've done that allow usability when piloting. It's the little things, the auto target, auto attack, the focus fire, as well as keeping to the things from the open beta that made EVE Echo stand out from EVE Online. They've kept that alive, and I'm glad that they have. Also, not so glad.
I don't know why I feel this way, but I feel that the first beta was better.
Probably had to do with more stability in the actual game itself.
Yes, but
There's been a lot of bugs.
I've had no problems with play. Like, I had problems actually joining the game because there was an issue with Google and my Huawei phone not updating Google products because of the argument they're having in Spain right now, which I found out. Which I thought that I was just having issues with the game, but it turns out my phone was the problem. So I might have to get a new phone because Spain is going to outright ban it, which is bad for me. So
that's drastic.
Phone is denied
because Spain are like the leading front of SJW, like everything. So when it comes to your personal information getting forced out of companies to another country's government, they get a bit funny about it. So they're like, the government gets funny about it. So they just ban all the products from those countries, which is going to be almost impossible, but what can we do? They're banning the P30 Pro. No, they're banning Huawei in Spain. Then they're going to push Me to the front line because Me still hasn't sold everyone's information yet.
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 Oh
You're
god.
actually having problems with you, Sam. You'll have no bandwidth right now. Your internet is dead.
Yeah.
You can set a default orbit. Well, we'll start answering questions in here. I think most of my issues have been player created, barring possibly the audit problem. See, the audit sometimes doesn't work. The audit sometimes does work. And then the audit is actually working on things that it's not supposed to work on, like the Corp hangar, for example, is not supposed to be audited, yet it is being audited. The short duration of the test has meant that everyone is kind of off to a sprint. Yes, that is 100% true, and it could get really bad. We just lost Sam for a minute, but he will be back as soon as possible. We have another question here. Don't know if you can, but think they should let you set a default orbit instead of having to set each type. That is true. You can actually set an orbit, as Hugasa said in the chat. You can go into your options and do it that way. Or you can click and hold and set orbit button, or just go into the options and change it, because it won't change to the orbit default that you set unless you change the option in the settings to orbit default, which is correct. Is that not right, Mr. Sweet?
Yeah, so
Everything's exploding. Sam literally blew up the entire Discord.
All the pictures are rearranging and everything.
Everyone's going, like, I'm not even, okay, it doesn't even matter anymore. Meanwhile, the UK, we are giving our infrastructure to Huawei. Yeah, because they are a good company. Even like, for me, I don't even care if they have my personal information from my phone. I don't give a shite. Like, I don't care whatsoever. I just want a working phone, and they make really good phones. That's all I care about. I don't care about anything else. PI mats is not enough. What do you mean PI mats is not enough, Captain Neptune?
That's not correct.
What's not correct?
PI mats are not. It's not that. It's that we can't make a million alts that have full PI abilities like we did in the last beta. Everyone's had to gear themselves up and get into Omega before they can be a realistic character. You know, we've been trying to, as I was saying before, it's been frantic because we've been trying to do everything that we did in the last beta in this beta in a week with supercharged skill points and no time to build up infrastructure. So, you know, like, last time it took me a week to get my tunes sorted out, scan systems for planetary, and figure out what I'm going to put and where, and eventually get the system and the production line set up. Well, now we have like days, 2 days, 3 days until we have to be ready to get this sort of stuff going. And now we've got 2 or 3 different sources of PI that have been introduced, which didn't exist before. And PI is one of the few things that is time-based. Doesn't matter how fast you want it to happen. If you haven't got it set up, you're not going to get started until you begin setting it up.
Always on a bottleneck on PI mats. We haven't had a single problem with materials at all. Like, we just, we've been building our own ships and getting like our industry division to be able to build certain ships for order for other people who aren't interested in industry, and we're not having a problem so far. How's it for you guys up in Trimark?
We've been doing quite well. We've got like, actually, I don't know how many retrievers Eisenhorn built this morning, but we had 4
7.
built. 7 this morning. Okay, cool. So that puts us at 11. That's nice.
He built 7 retrievers.
Yep.
Yeah, it was just casually. Like, the thing is, the
Casual.
We've been throwing out like 10 or 15 cruisers a day and two or three battle cruisers. The materials aren't that major. It's just getting everyone started. We've actually now got all of the planetary to build like maybe 50 cruisers. The problem is we didn't have that 3 days ago because people weren't actually getting their asses around to getting them online, getting the tunes ready and Omega and skilled and everything.
Starting out, there's also material scarcity. So you have that. Everybody's trying to draw from the system at the same time to get their ships. And then there's no input from the system because there's no skills. It's not established. Once it gets established, you're going to start having an influx of materials, and then you'll have surplus.
which is
Very
where we're
true.
at now.
Just to go what Lord Tell says, he says he's been a complete clusterfuck. Is that the test in general, or certain aspect of the test? Please let us know, because I feel that for someone who's only been able to play for less than 48 hours of the entire test so far, I can say
way too much to test. You're right, but also before we got corporations running, it was just so hard to get a tune from Omega Alpha bootstrapped all the way up into Omega to be useful. It took every single tune had to do ratting to do that until we figured out corporations and the Omega clone and how to deal with it properly.
Once we figured that out, though, once we figured the corp clone out, it became so fucking easy, but they didn't give us the information we needed to make it work properly. Once it was figured out, like, it was the same as, for instance, they don't tell you can skip the tutorial by just holding down your finger on the screen. No one fucking knew this.
It didn't take us too long to figure that out, though. I think we were trying to skip the tutorial from like our first and second tunes, and by the third one running, someone had told everyone, and we figured it out.
Yeah. I set it out on the ECHOESTALK Discord because all I had was complaints from these players saying, "I don't need a tutorial. Why are you giving me a tutorial? Blah blah blah." And I was like, right, I'm gonna go on there and try and find something to break it, and I just held down my finger, and it skipped the tutorial.
But there's no like pop-up to say hold finger to skip tutorial, which could have been really easy. And
even then, if you tap, it should come up and tell you how, like something.
But even if you want to do the starting tutorial, blah blah blah, if you hold down your finger, it just does it at 2 times. Then you have to click the skip button.
So I have to ask this about your impression of the starting tutorial that you did. You have that sort of action mini game, right? Where you have to click the screen to dodge a couple of times and then click the screen to do random attacks. That game loop has nothing to do with anything in the rest of the game.
Agreed.
Not even close. Like,
so,
what is collisions? What is clicking a button to hit a target which doesn't have weapons in a HUD for your ship potential?
I have no idea what the fuck it was for.
Honestly,
I think so.
Not a clue. It's not a tutorial. It's just an opening cutscene, and they try to go for the action scenes like you see in AAA titles.
Yes, just wanted a nice little if you look at the mobile gaming in general, look at every single every single advert, everything that they do in mobile gaming is fake, and they all get away with it with their advertising, their marketing, and everything.
Oh god! To think that
false advertisement is fucking through the roof, to the point where I actually had to go to CCP recently with 4 different games that had stolen the latest EVE Online trailers and used it as their own mobile game trailers.
I was gonna say, I saw a trailer for a mobile game, and the intro sequence was exactly EVE Echoes with just slightly different skins on a few things. It was
ridiculous.
By every part of it was. The sound was a slight different pitch, but as for the rest, it was exactly the same. And
I can see what they were trying to do. I can see what they're trying to do to make the beginning, because they've even said previously that the first 15 minutes in the game lets you decide as a gamer if you want to continue playing that game. We don't want to believe that. We don't want to, as gamers we're different kinds of gamers. You have to think of the more casual kind of gamers. They want to come in, they're going to try a game for 10 minutes, see if it's alright, and then if it's okay in the first 10-15 minutes, they're going to continue playing. That's what. But
if they get interested by that intro, right? If that sort of action clicking is what lures them in, as soon as they realize that that's the end of it, they're not going to stick around, are they?
No, it's true. I understand that 100%, and I don't know. Maybe it's something that we are missing. Maybe there's some statistics, anything in their marketing strategy that they know that we don't. I'm not a marketing person. I'm a social media person. I run social medias for a living. I don't know fuck all about marketing. I can only comment and say I don't believe it.
They were probably following everybody else in the mobile market.
Which is successful. These companies make shitloads of money, but they make shitloads of money quickly and then die.
It's also, this is, like you're saying, it's a different monetization model. So trying to follow that and then not doing the same model is not going to quite work.
It's just odd. I find it very odd. I find everything that's
I
happening
find it-
very odd.
I find it funny that they are constantly saying, "Please provide feedback. Please tell us what you think. Please provide feedback." It feels like they haven't bothered to do a high quality consultation with anyone about how to run the game over and above what they observe to be out of EVE Online and their own personal experience from the Chinese EVE Online.
Which I just want to add at this specific point. Anyone who's watching, and Sam, Swede, everyone, please write up a list of things, decisions that have been made, decisions that are like that you don't agree with, decisions that you think are going to be broken. Send them to me, because I have a direct link now currently, because there are other people that believe the same. So we need to get all this information as quickly as possible to us. I don't want to talk about I understand, Neptune, why you're upset that the strip miners are tiny little things on your retriever, but this isn't the sort of thing that we need to worry about right now. That's something that can be changed later. I'm talking about things limiting corp wallets so you can't withdraw and like only deposit and making it fucking pointless. I'm talking about the Yangjung ships that are so stupidly overpowered that is literally what the fuck is happening. I'm talking about the amount there's so much shit right now that is different from the open beta test that we tested that was beautiful. They could have released the game then, and I would have been happy as fucking Larry. And then they added all this new
corp.
stuff. Like,
I don't understand
trading.
what's going on with the market either.
The
To
market's
me,
weird.
it seems like there's no ITCs anymore.
You can reach market from anywhere.
From any station with a market module. Like, what?
Yeah.
Why? Is that just for the test, or is that broken? Is that a bug? How do we know if that's a bug or not? Thank you, Lembani, for the follow. Thank you, Stapler Gun, for the prime. Thank you very much. Hexos for the prime. Thank you. It's just
there's a lot of questions we have which we don't feel as though there's enough time to even get an answer, let alone ask for them to be fixed.
See, Dega says the current beta feels like a step back from the last beta. I feel that it's not a step back. They try to move a step forward with a sideways step, added bugs.
I think they added a lot of features, and now we're seeing a lot more broken stuff. Now, I think where the step back is like we've lost the tactical overlay, your vector of travel, just a lot of the information that's visible.
That's a bug.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot more information on screen, which is a lot harder to sift through. Like, I found the interface really quite busy.
It wasn't bugged before, so.
And there are very important issues that we all knew from the previous beta that needs to be fixed before launch that hasn't been, like the system with bases and how much they actually affect everything, or how at the moment all industry is dependent on ratting, because that's the only way you get data cores, for example, which you need for manufacturing. It's the way you get blueprints, all of that. So basically,
there's a lot of critical path steps to get to manufacturing and get to a viable supply chain, which requires so many specific things that you really have to do a step order in order to be successful. And any deviation from that, it's just met with a wall until you go back and figure out what you did wrong and where, without the advice. But
and then someone goes and kills your bases, and you can't do anything.
But I would like to mention something. We are doing and saying all of this from a perspective of this current build having been in it for 3 to 5 days, not optimized ourselves, not set everything up, not taking the time, nor had the time to actually sit down and learn the interface and all of the new features and how they're supposed to be working. We're finding new things every day that are game changers about how we do things. Like, one of my corpies discovered how watch lists work and how to actually apply them. We didn't know that before. There's so many things that we're learning.
The watch lists amazing addition. That's great, because I stuck Swede in the watch list, and I could literally just hold on top of him, and I could warp to him if I needed to at any moment in time. The Logi broadcasting system is fucking amazing. It is great for me being a Logi pilot. It makes my life so much easier.
One of my absolute favorite parts of the beta is the introduction of the watch list and the Logi broadcast system. Again, coming as a Logi pilot at heart, which was severely missing from the previous one. So when I saw that, I was happy. I was bloody yelling in Discord chat about it. But Eisenhorn is correct in what he says in the chat, for example, which is they are fighting so hard against RMT and bots without having any data on the whole issue at the moment, and they're bringing a shotgun to kill the mosquito, and it's affecting everybody in a very bad way.
Here's the thing. Here's what I believe, and I will say this because of conversations that I've had with other people and conversations that I've had internally. They are combating bots and RMT for the Chinese market. They are not trying. Which is much heavier than the global market. Much heavier. The bots and the RMT is a lot higher in China. That's what I believe, and they're trying to push this really hard line of beating it in a certain culture where it is prevalent, and it is in every game, and it destroys all their games eventually. Whereas in the Western side, you'll have bots, you'll have RMT, but it's nowhere near as prevalent in the Western culture as it is in the Eastern. Like, nowhere fucking near, because a lot of people are worried because it's actually illegal in a lot of Western countries to do this shit. You're effectively stealing.
Oh, yeah.
But there are also other ways to deal with this issue. You can take the backwards approach. You can take the passive approach. You don't have to take the lockdown active approach in terms of catching bots.
Shut down the many for the few.
Yeah.
But it's like, I can see why they have made the decisions they've made. I can see why the beating RNT is such a big deal, and I agree with them. Like, we need to get rid of it out of the system because it'll ruin the economy. It'll ruin the backbone of the game in general. But
I agree with that. But there has to be.
You can't take away withdrawal from a corp wallet because of RMT.
It's literally
that
a
pisses me off more
structure
than anything
that's designed to work. It's a structure that 200 people are supposed to use to work together, and you're going to limit the ability to work together. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Then you've got the inability for someone to pay someone else or openly trade with someone else. I get the idea. We don't have to have it in real time. We can put it in a queue so they can order the damn thing. Who cares? But enable the system so it's easy to manage. At the moment, I'm contracting people to send money to them, and it's a pain in the ass. It would be so much easier. And to be honest, they could also rework the contract interface. It's a real bitch, but
it is
whatever.
a bit. I think it's a beta. I think it's like a beta build of the contracting system. I don't think it's going to be that way because it's confusing as fuck. Mainly because a lot of the drop down menus and the what it's titled as is wrong. Like, it's not correct. It's like it's like Google Chrome translating a Spanish website for you in English, and it's just wrong.
I didn't have too much of an issue navigating it. It was just the lack of being able to quickly find my contacts or having to scroll
a list of stupid amounts of contracts.
And stations to find the one I'm sitting in, which is at the top of the list, but when I open the drop down, it's always at the bottom of the list. So I have to every time I have to scroll up. It's a few things like that which make it. The basics of the system is sound. It just needs polishing, and
look what Skippy said. Skippy said moved 20 faction debris from Cork Hangar and got a 17-hour audit. You do know that the Corp Hangar is not supposed to have auditing at all. It's supposed to be the one thing that doesn't.
So much. It's a timer of the item is locked based on the value of the item, but also, and this is a bug, I'm sure, you split stack and you don't get the issue. It's based on one stack only. So, we just split everything down every time we get the alert. We just cancel, split it down, and then move it, and we don't get an issue at all.
James, Apollo, why do you think it's ridiculous the Chinese were first ones to get 2 alliances? We were the first ones to get 2 corps. We were the first ones to raise enough money to start an alliance. It's just, myself, Our corp had enough money to start an alliance. Trimark had enough money to start an alliance. We just didn't do it because it was pointless.
Yeah, we didn't see the need.
There was no need for
we'd
it.
rather put our money in other ways in other places,
So
like expert skills.
Exactly. And the fact that I found out just recently that if you go over a certain level of offices, the amount it costs for an office actually goes up for each office you open. So the weekly cost goes up even more, which is... like Nina, for
Alex,
example, Nina could have started an alliance by herself in the first day because she made... at the moment, she's sitting with like a couple of billion ISK just sitting in her wallet for no fucking reason. Like, is the money was easy.
Yeah, I've kind of done something similar. I was just printing money for the corporation.
There was no need to do it.
Keep one thing in mind that during the test, the ISK is stupid. And getting 20 times less ISK for what we're doing is going to make a difference, right? But yes, right now ISK it's printing out. ISK has no value, which is, look at JITA and see them selling a Weber for 150 million ISK.
About a Caldari Navy issue Caracal for 250 mil.
We can't. What's it say? Can't see it, man.
Sorry, right, there's 4 in system. They were all in the station. Now they're out of the station. Now I'm just going to blap them at the station.
Damn it, man, where are you hiding? I need to come kill something with you.
1 second. I'm going to drop him. He's sitting outside. 2 kilometers off my starboard bow. Oh, he vanished, the fuck nugget.
We're pausing ECHOESTALK for a brief moment of PvP.
Sorry, I apologize. Like, this guy just came out of nowhere and I had to try to blap him. I apologize for jumping in. If you see me start looking down at my phone, it's because I'm fighting someone. I am currently trying to stop a certain corp from attacking our bases that we are testing to try to get dead spaces to spawn in low sec. It's actually really important testing that myself, Swede, and Nina are doing, and our corp, Sovereign States, are doing is very important, and they're trying to ruin it for us. So I'm just killing all of their large ships. Huh?
Wait.
Just defend your ship better.
Oh, no, I'm defending it great. I wiped out their entire army of banana boats and killed all their maulers and all kinds of shit. I'm good.
Alex, so basically dead spaces have a chance to spawn whenever you... when you kill an anomaly and the system spawns a new one, there's a small chance of it spawning as a dead space complex in systems with a level 6 or higher base. Very rare chance, though. Very, very rare.
And based on that, there could be one sitting in system waiting for you when you explore through it.
Yes, and also they're not usually based in dead spaces. Can't spawn in low sec usually, but there are certain low sec systems that are null sec, true sec. I know Skippy will understand what that is.
So the question is, are we going to actually pay for the game or not?
Yes. Oh, that is just out of order. That was just... why did I do that?
Yes, from me, but it very much so depends on the response that we get from the devs as to our current concerns, and we need to get them to them as soon as possible.
Yes, actually, and we have some quite large backing from certain individuals, so it will be pushed forward. So you do need to give us that information, guys. Please, please, please. If you're in Trimark, send it to Sam. Send the information that you have to Sam. Sam can compile everything and send it to me. If you're in Sovereign States, send to me. Send to Swede. Send to Nina. Send to Kelbeck. If you're in Op Force, send to Doomsy. Doomsy can send the information to me, and we'll get it, and we'll try to push this game in the direction that we want it to go, rather than how we feel maybe going slightly downhill with the limitations that are being forced upon it, in our humble opinions. Now,
we need to communicate with them.
We do, and me and Nina do quite a lot, but when we're only 2 people, 2 people can't change anything. They can edge some things that might change some stuff, but we need everyone to get involved in everything that we are doing.
But we also need to step back and realize, though, we are dealing with this in a situation where, 1, we're in beta, 2, we're in an unestablished new economy where things just simply don't exist for the general market. 3, we don't actually know the game. We're still learning the interfaces and how they're setting things up. We haven't had the time to go through them and actually learn things properly. So there are some things we can't just say, oh, it's bad. We have to look at it at various perspectives and say, well, If this was 6 months forward and everything we needed for this project was available on the market, we could just purchase for ISK. Is it bad? Is it okay? Or, is this just teething issues just to start the game? Maybe there's some slight tweaking they can do just to get us going, but ultimately the system might be sound. So we don't need to just crap on it and say, oh, it's crap. We need to look at it from various perspectives and then try and evaluate it properly.
Yeah, no, but like as Eisenhord said, we're being very critical on certain points. The whole game in general is good. They have good systems, they have good ideas, they just need to sort them out. But things like blocking trading of ISK with corpse, changing corpse, so you can't, like auditing the corp hanger. So if someone just wants to hand over their retriever to a corpy, they're going to be waiting 12 hours, and that just, how do you know when you're going to need a retriever?
Or if you need to do a quick spin up for a roam.
Yeah. Like, for instance,
Yeah, exactly.
you just have a massive fleet of an opposing corp just turn up in your system and no one fucking says anything, and you weren't ready. The corp hangar has no ships in it. The CEO goes shit, shoves a loads of ships in the corp hangar, and no one can collect them. So you're literally sitting there to get fucked.
Or they all collect them and then they have a 3-hour audit.
It's 3-hour audit, and they can't. They've all got the ships, and it's just they can't fight back. It's just.
Because they already sat through the timer and they came and surprised you.
Yes, they came. They saw, they conquered, and 3 hours for retriever, 5 hours for mana. It all depends on the cost of the ship itself. That's what the timer means.
My issue as well is we've got these teething issues now because everything has been released, so many new features, but we're not done. We've got as many features as exist in EVE Online still to go to be released. Sovereignty, capital ships, battleships haven't even been approached really. There's just so many things we have still yet to do. So we're going to have this ongoing for a long time.
Yes. I'm still okay with it. I'm still going to be playing the game. I'm still going to be making content for the game. I'm going to be paying for a stupid amount of counts. I'm going to be putting a lot of money into this game. I still have a lot of faith in the team. My main issue is I feel that the team is being pushed into a corner with a time frame that they're trying to hit that's almost impossible. That is how I don't think the development team at NetEase are the ones destroying this game. I think it's above them. The people that are forcing, because they know, the people above them know how much money this game is going to fucking make. They know it's going to make shitloads of money, so they want this game out quickly.
The devs just write the code.
The devs just write the code. The devs are the heart and soul of a game. They create the game. They create it with love. They create it with passion. They create it with everything. The people above them are the ones that make all the decisions. So we can't hate on the NetEase team. Like, they're not doing anything wrong.
And I hope that everybody here on the stream and everybody watching it do realize that we are not trying to hate on NetEase and the game. We have been playing this for a long while, all of us, and we want to see this game become all it can be, right? And if we do sound critical, it is because we are facing these things and we want to try to improve them somehow. We want to communicate, we want to make it better. We want to discuss it between ourselves and with NetEase, if they'll listen, to see if we can actually move forward together, because that's what we all want.
To do it.
I feel like, for me personally, I know a lot of people are going to hate me for saying this, but I'm okay with them delaying it another couple of months. As long
I am as well. I'm definitely happy with that, yeah.
If everything's sorted.
We haven't had the time to digest the changes, and quite frankly, the devs have been so reticent to give us any details on what's going on. We haven't had time to even look at how they're moving with the game and where the development is going, because they won't let out any details. They won't give out information. Everything's under NDA, which I don't really understand. There's so much, like, it's under NDA, now it's not, now it is, and it's public release, now it isn't. So why bother? Why not just allow us to freely discuss the game and all the things they're working with towards it before they release it, so they don't release a mess which is going to have to be fixed and drive people away.
This again, NDAs are forced on by the up aboves because they don't want things to be released that could negatively impact the monetary income of the game by adding something that could be stupid. Like, for instance, like, can you imagine if they just added the Yangjing ships as is on launch? That's another I completely forgot about that point. I won't go into that now because I'm not in the right frame of mind to go into that point. So we'll continue with what we were talking about.
I think we should go on to that point.
What, the point where they're going to give everyone a free fucking Yangjung destroyer on day one?
Oh, yes.
The fact that they made that decision, that is my issue. I don't have an issue with the ship. Well, kind of. I don't have an issue
I
with
don't,
the decisions
honestly.
of what
In its current
have an
state.
I have an issue with the fact that they decided to give everyone one of those at launch. That's my problem.
Yeah.
Like, it's so, guys, if I know, like, a lot of people don't like to read pinned comments, they don't like to read announcements properly, they don't like to read in-game mails, not being rude to anyone, but the in-game mail said that this is a test to see how they can add this to a novice launch loot box that everyone is going to be given.
They said this
It's
is to
written
test
in
the
there.
ship that we will be giving out
For
in the
free.
launching starting box for free to every player.
Yes, it is. Imagine Wagons
Yeah.
is the mobile version of Eve, right? Boo to the banana. Bananas, it's not even broken. Like, it's not
Oh,
broken.
go away. Yes, it is.
I mean,
It's not
300
broken.
DPS with no skills, just undock 300
Oh,
DPS. Bullshit.
I can literally just, like,
1K
You
DPS
cannot-
for skills and buffs.
people have been given a literal godship and they're still all dying and complaining about dying.
Yes,
in a
but
fucking godship.
that has nothing to do with the fact that the ship in itself is broken. Just because some people do not know how to fit or pilot it does not mean the ship isn't broken.
So what
fact-
about the Harbinger prototype?
The Harbinger Prototype is a
It's
battle
fucking
cruiser
massively overpowered.
at Tech
Sit
7, and it's not overpowered compared to everything else. You can do the
You
exact
can-
same thing with the Ferox.
Yeah, you can.
Yep.
But there's other battle cruisers that are nowhere near as powerful as the Harbinger prototype for a ship that's one whole tier level below the rest of the battle cruisers. You can fit it with
I'm not
3
saying
newts in the mid
any
slots.
issues
You can.
with balance.
It's so much
Yeah.
power. So much power. And we don't even know about the faction ships yet. I've been given
But-
stats for the faction ships that are almost comparable to the Yangjung ships. For the faction ships that we already have. You just can't compare them because we only have frigates and cruisers and not destroyers.
But
No, that wasn't my issue. My issue was the fact that they are giving everyone one of these ships, and the ship is very powerful. The ship is out of the box an instant win versus anything else of its class, at a significant amount of work for anyone else to produce. You know, we're talking about like the decent faction ships that we are all struggling to want to be able to build by, do you know what it takes to be able to get a faction ship like a Cruor or a Worm? You have to go in and do a Dead Space site, get the Dead Space Rex, and then do reverse engineering on that. That requires you to have battle cruisers to be able to build faction frigates. And here we are at the start of the game where everyone has nothing, and they're given an equivalent top tier faction frigate. Just for
and right, if you want to know in comparison to the faction ships and how to look at the ones we do have stats for, right? The faction destroyer of the Yangjung with the correct skills and build out DPSs any of the other faction battleships. I say that again, right?
Yeah.
It's for burst, but it still out DPSs the faction battleships. Now, have you seen the stats for the Yangjung battlecruiser? Should I make you filthy enough to go have a shower?
No, because like that okay, so the destroyer
I'm ready.
is powerful, okay? The destroyer is powerful. It will have its DPS reduced. The devs have already admitted that the DPS is stupidly high. Now the stats of the ship will not be reduced. The stuff that's on there is okay because there are comparable things with other faction ships on the ship stats. What?
There is no other ship that gets a plus 80% roll bonus to damage.
Well, that's
Straight
what he's
off
talking about.
That's
DPS
not
is being nerfed.
no. There are literal faction ships with 150% bonus to damage.
Yeah, based on skills, not roll bonus.
No, roll bonus. There's literally
drone,
ships with
on the
drone
worm.
bonus on the worm on the literally there's 150 to 250% damage bonuses for weapons on other faction ships. That was a lie.
Which one? I'm
The
looking at the
worm?
ships right now.
The worm. All of those ships have a 150% bonus to DPS.
No,
the drones.
the rattlesnake has a 120% bonus to drone damage.
Roll bonus.
No, not
But
roll
also,
bonus. It's skill.
don't forget the worm, Gila, and rattlesnake have reduced drone slots so that they compensate.
Yeah, but you can still stick a thing on there. 1 second.
And also they
checking.
have nerfed the drone damage.
How is
down
that now?
It's
compared to
about
the-
Kind of good, actually.
half of what it used to be.
Wow.
What's half of what
My
it used to
prophecy
be?
is doing reasonably well for drone damage.
Yeah, the large drones now have a base DPS of about 20.
So how does it
What?
compare to a standard weapon system?
But it's not a standard weapon system anymore. We can't look at it that way.
No.
It's now secondary.
okay.
It's a
No,
subsystem.
because it's a secondary system. It has its
Well, then
own slots.
we have
so-
ships that are built around that. So is it really a secondary anymore?
Yeah, because you can stick blasters on Dominic's, for example.
Yeah, it just doesn't get any bonuses to it.
But you can put all the skill stats in there. You can skill the living shit out of it, and get which will give you a lot of damage with that specific. For example, like Swede and Nina were looking at the decomposers on their own without the Yangjung ships. Do you want to explain that, Swede, for a minute for the viewers? We think that the ship is broken. The ship isn't as broken as just the weapons.
Yes, the weapons by themselves. So you have the small weapon systems, which has base stats, not just DPS, but base stats that are better than any other medium-sized weapon in the game. And with the reduced weapon bonuses that you get for most of the ships that they've changed since the previous beta, I'm sure you noticed, most of the ships have a lot less damage bonus to their weapon systems. In many cases, it's more worth it if you have the skills to use the decomposers on any other ship, even medium ones.
Actually had somebody do that yesterday with a caracal trainer, and he just had 4 decomposers on there.
And you ripped them apart because you pulled range.
Yeah, I just pulled range. They were really short range, but I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, so the decomposers, that's the one thing that works against them if you put them on another ship. It's that they have about 15, they get about 18-kilometer range with good skills, but without the ship bonuses.
They behave like missiles, though, in the fact that if you're in range, you're going to hit. Except for maybe but it's just reduced.
So I was in the banana boat earlier, and I got 50% of my shield smashed off in one shot by a drone from a mower.
Drone from a mower.
A mower with a single drone knocked off 50% of my shield, and I'm shield tanked.
That's weird.
The MOA doesn't even have drone bonuses. It shouldn't have been able to do that.
So like that it hit me hard. Hugasa was there as well. It knocked him down to 20% hull. I don't know what happened there. I don't understand. All I know is that I got smashed to buggery.
It might be the number of low slots that he could put on a lot of drone damage amps. We'll have to just try some builds and see if we can replicate it.
Because
it does have 5 slots.
That really, really hurt me. I was killing their entire corp all day, and then this Moa and Harbinger Prototype came out, and they just handed me my testicles for breakfast. It was horrible.
Oh no, the god has taken down a pig.
Yeah, and there's Harbinger Prototypes. They were 2 volleying us down to hull. Their tracking on the lasers are still broken.
Okay, so what else about the game apart from the balance of the ships? How about the new player experience?
The new player experience is good. I like the new player experience. Everything about it. I like the tutorial. I like the things they've added. Is very good for me.
The basic and the advanced tutorial are really good. There's the only thing I noticed about the advanced tutorial was that it tells you to train a skill, or it tells you to complete an encounter. In fact, you have to go in and read the details to figure out that you can't just train any skill, or you can't just do any encounter, for example. It will be dependent on. So one of them will be you have to train 3 level 3 skills, or 3 skills to level 3, or you have to train 1 skill to level 5 in order to bypass that. Now, the information is there, it's just not very obvious. Again, more obvious than not having any at all, like
True.
some systems do. But yeah, so my impression of the tutorial is good. I like the fact that you get the skills, you get the trainer destroyer to go with it as you move up along. I wish you could focus. So I wish you could say, I want to do combat, or I want to do industry, or I want to do trading, and it would.
Kind of like how it does with the skill tree, where you can flip over and you can pick a track.
Yeah, so I would like to have seen that in the tutorial as well, that you could pick that and it would tailor the missions that you need to do, and it would tailor the rewards a little bit what you need to do, because now at this point every character gets trade, accounting, and what's the third one for that specific reward?
You get
Trade, accounting, and
Logistics.
logistics. Yeah, so nice skills to have, no doubt, but I don't see a PvP toon having much use for, well, at least some of them. You know what I mean? It would maybe be nicer to have a more combat oriented skill. What are you holding up now? Will you stop?
Yeah, we
Luke.
can't see it. What is it?
Today's PvP, look.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Like so with the tutorials and the additives, people are talking about the skills that you're getting for free, the trainerships that you're getting for free. I like that there's a venture trainer in there. The destroyer trainers for me are pointless because they are literally only made for PvP. Really, the only reason we
What's wrong
are
with that? Why is that a problem?
Because if you literally are being forced into a ship that's being made for PvP that you will never ever use ever again once you get past into cruisers. So you're going to start spamming skills in there for a ship you're never going to use again.
It's the same with the venture trainer.
But it's a
No,
good backdrop. If you lose your primary ship, you want something to back it up with, and it's a good back thing to have.
But you can, I don't know. For me, it's not a good thing to dive people into a certain, because they're going to spend all of their skill points into building into a destroyer. For someone who doesn't know the game, that doesn't know that there's going to be a backup, that doesn't know that in 5 days, if you have Omega 3 and cognitive, you're going to be in a cruiser.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: they've sort of made all of that moot anyway, because now you are going to get the Young destroyer. You're going to go out in it. And the moment you lose it, you are going to realize that you don't know how to play the game, because the game with and the game without that destroyer for a starting character is two very, very different experiences.
But they could give you frigates.
I was very disappointed that I could not trade or buy another destroyer when I lost mine. So I had trained into expert into those skills, into destroyer, and into the system. Sorry, the damage type weapon system, but I couldn't replace it. I couldn't do anything with that skills anymore. Well, I wasn't going to fit another ship with that kind of weapon type. So, what was I supposed to do? And if a player is going to find the same thing when they start the game, and they've spent all the skill points they have on it, and now they don't have it anymore, I don't know what they're supposed to do.
This is the issue. That are they going to make the Yangjing ships the same as the Jove ships in EVE Online, like the Sunasis and the Gnosis and the Praxis, where it only gets dropped on special occasions? Is that something they're going to do? Because there's nothing in the game to show that we will ever be able to get BPs for Yangjing unless they add another anomaly on top of what we already have. So I'm just...
Dermis, I can't have yours because they made the ship non-transferable in every way, shape, or form. Contracting, trading, selling on the market, corp, hangars, nothing. The only way to get them is to put it in a bigger ship and blow it up and pray.
Loot drops.
Loot fairy is a
Loot
thing.
fairy, but like, so can we do that? Is it worth throwing a like one of these destroyers in a Terra and just seeing if RNGesus is nice to you?
Well, what other choice do you have if you want to try to get one of those from your alt to your main who lost it?
But
It's
why
not like
did
you
they do
had
it?
any other options.
Why
If
did
your
they
alt
do
never
that?
plans to fly it, then it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. You know, it's a free ship. The Terra was free, the Young Jun ship was free, so why not just blow them both up and see what happens?
It's
you
true.
know.
It's true.
You're
but
not you're not going to end up much worse than not if you use an alt account that you weren't planning on flying around space with anyway.
it should
That
be
and
able to be sold
tomato.
even now. Like how many Gnosis have been given out? Like relatively speaking, not that many. There's still millions of them on the markets. There's still so many of this Gnosis, and they're only giving out sometimes. They should just sell them. I don't understand. I don't understand why they're not allowed to be sold. Or
What,
this
the
could be the
Gnosis?
reason.
No,
Huh?
the Young Destroyers.
The Young
Oh, I was
Maybe
going to
I'm
say, the
gonna
Gnosis
destroy
can
it, I don't
definitely
know.
be sold. I used to buy
Yeah,
and sell
there's
them all the
millions
time.
of them, but there's millions of them, like so many of them, and they're only given out on special events. It's the only way to get them.
Mhm.
So I don't
I don't
like they.
Shit can them limb barn.
But you guys, I was saying, presumably reverse engineering, they're gonna have to add another type of anomaly because there's no other way to do it, because all the anomalies are filled out and they all have their already set reasons to exist. They can't just like add the Yangjung on the end of a dead space when that's already the reason to get faction ships, for example. Where do you get all those PvP? Last night I was flying around and found only one player. I sat in a system this morning at Chinese prime time that had a lot of Chinese, and they just came at me one by one like a buffet line. Until they started working together, then they gave me and Hugasa another reason to leave quickly.
But that is pretty much Eve in a nutshell, to be honest, right? You have a pirate, dirty thinking pirate like yourself. I mean, not like I would ever do anything like that. You sat in a system and you're ambushing people, and you'll be able to do that until people form up and kick you out. That's part of the working together and cooperating in Eve.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like when I was in this god ship, I'm in this banana boat. We call it a god ship because yes, it is. If you fit it the way I fit it, it's a goddamn god ship. If you fight against 5 people, obviously you might not win. But if you're one-on-one, you're killing nearly everyone. But today I found out, and I wasn't even upset that people were able to fuck me up completely and utterly in several different kinds of shit. It was great. I found it amazing. I had so much fun. I was shaking when we were fighting the 2 Harbingers and a Moa. Like I had the shakes for the first time in ages. It was great because I was in this god ship that could get destroyed, because the main point is that the Amar are weak to Yangjung ships, but the Yangjung ships are also weak to Amar weaponry. So it's an alpha battle. Whoever gets in there first, who's got the most skill to move quickly across the UI and get everything targeted and firing, is the person who will win that fight. It's a skill-based battle. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely not an indestructible ship, but so as much as you say, that it can be killed by whatever, if you look at when you get that ship in comparison to when you get the Harbinger.
What's the tier level of this ship?
0.
Because it's
I
a
guess that
faction
would
ship.
make sense if they're
You
giving it to you.
You
Yeah.
can pilot it at tier 1, at tech 1.
So what I would do at launch, if they give this ship out as a destroyer, because I will be playing at launch, even though I'm bitching a little bit, because like anyone who's watched any of my videos before, any of the Echoes talks before, I heavily have the back of the NetEase devs. I believe this will be a great fucking game and I'm going to love every minute of it. But now I've started to see some things that I'm like, I'm not so happy with, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to not play the game. If you get this destroyer at the beginning of the game, do not get into it for the first month. Wait for everyone to blow it up and lose all their shit, and you have more skills, and then you jump out in your one and only god ship. Insurance does not recover ships. Insurance repairs your ships for free. So it repairs it. It has to be alive. The insurance doesn't cover the death of a ship. It covers the repair bill.
Yeah. And it only does that for the first few levels.
3 tiers. Tier 3.
Yeah, exactly. You get these coupons, the insurance coupons from doing the first step of the advanced tutorial. But as soon as you progress past tier 3, which, let's be fair, as soon as you get the trainer destroyers from the advanced tutorial, you progress past that. Because they are not oh no, never mind. Trainer ships are also able to be repaired by those coupons. Sorry, my bad. Yeah.
That shows up on the Caracal trainer, doesn't it?
Yeah, training ships, and all ships up to Tech 3 and training ships are eligible for.
Thasman, did you say it recovers your ship if it dies? Because it doesn't. I've tested it. Like I got someone to pod me to see if I could recover a tier 3. You recovered a Corm. It didn't. Did you do that at the beginning of the game? At the beginning of the test when you were under tier 3? Because it doesn't fucking work for me.
Neptune asks, what happens when they release carriers or capital ships?
When they release capital ships, and what, they're going to start giving out capitals for free to everyone because they're Yang Jung? I'm confused.
But see, this is the design choice that we have. This is the issue where I feel like they don't understand game balance sometimes. But when they release capitals, I believe no one will be in a position to get into them. They will simply be there and exist in theoretical form for a long time, and people can critique them theoretically and basically give feedback on information. This is what we haven't been able to do over the last 6 months based on their decision. We haven't been able to critique the stats on any of these ships and say, what the hell, this is broken. But we'll be able to do that after release because they will release this stuff before people can get into the ships.
It's very true. Very, 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 very true. This Theisman, you're saying you was tier 7. Was your ship under tier 3? It has to be. Like, you can't, like, I did it, I tested it on a ship that was above tier 3, obviously. Like, I don't have a ship that's under tier 3, and it never existed. My account got deleted, and Nina had to give me everything at the beginning, so it helped me out. Base core, what tier is that? 4? Or 3? The base cormorant. I've got the game open here, I should just check.
It's 3.
It's 3, yeah, that's why it works. Shit was T3, that's why you got it back. Like, anything above T3 you don't get back. It doesn't do shit. But I didn't believe they actually did anything anyway. Yes, mate.
How has running a corp been for you over the last 3 days?
Oi, a fucking nightmare.
Why?
Because the functions don't work. Or, okay, so Nina pulled the short straw. And Nina had to take over the corp for a while because my account was actually deleted and I couldn't get in the game for a couple of days at the beginning, so Nina had to take over it. And there was a problem where we had, because we were the first corp in the final test, the first corp up there, everyone and their mum tried to apply for the corp. So we had like 2,000 applications that was stopping Nina's game from working for 20 minutes at a time. So like Nina had to sit there for 20 minutes just to open up the list to stop that. It was, whew. Like Nina can tell you it was rough.
Yeah, then she accidentally hit the
approve all button, which is on top of the like it was on top of the disapprove all button. So like they were right next to each other. All it takes is one slide of a fat finger, and you like accept the world. So then we had to go through the members list to find out who wasn't supposed to be there, and then it's just like, oh, Corp ID says we're the third corp. We were we shouldn't be the third corp. We were the only, because there was only 2 there when we started.
No, the same day. We were the Sovereign was the first corp of
the final test,
open part of the test, but there were 2
corps in
created during the
localization
test, and they rolled over.
Yeah, we created the localization test as well. Just saying, power to the people. So with the main thing with the corp, I got pissed off the fact that I couldn't withdraw anything from the corp wallet. We collected a lot of ISK together at the beginning. We paid Nina paid off the 200 million ISK off, because I would have had the same account, same power, same ships as Nina on day one, but my account got literally deleted, so I had to start from the beginning, the same as everyone else. And then they added corp hangar audits, which weren't supposed to be a thing. Corp hangar was supposed to be okay because alphas are already blocked from adding from whatever they're blocked from in the corp hangars. They're already blocked from that, so the RMT is already stopped. So why add an audit to something that has no problem with RMT? This is one of those things where it's just adding a shotgun on top of a fucking RPG. There's no need for it. You don't need to audit a corp hangar.
Then you got the inability to withdraw from the wallet. So everyone who was depositing cash into the wallet by either their tax or just donating, they didn't know that it couldn't be used, and it was just going nowhere. So yeah, I set corp tax to 0 as soon as I learned that, but it was too late. We already had 500 mil in the account. So
we had so much ISK in there because we were building up, because we added all the ISK to the account to be able to build the Capsule outpost, which costs around 800 million, maybe just a bit more than that, give or take, because the amount you need only 8 to build the ship, to build the Capsule outpost with the current test, so you don't need the 32 parts, so it's a lot less. But it's like, when at the end of day one, when we found out that, like, we went balls to the wall, we were like, let's make the first ever Capsule outpost, let's get this done, and blah blah blah, and then it was just, we couldn't use it.
The money's all stuck.
It was just stuck there. So I went and spoke to the devs, and I said, devs, what the fuck? Like, it said on the actual game update, when you open the game, on the list, on the update, it said deposit and withdraw from the corp wallet. It had that in fucking words right there. Then I complained, that disappears from the game update list.
Oh, of course, hiding it.
It's the quickest bug fix ever.
Like, they got rid of that sentence from the, but we have been informed that myself and Nina, through arguing, have been given that we won that argument, so they're going to be adding it. They said they would. Can't confirm 100%. That could change.
See, I wouldn't mind if we couldn't withdraw. Being able to purchase stuff on the market via using the corp wallet, being able to spend the corp wallet on manufacturing, and I'm pretty damn sure that stuff is going to be implemented. It's just broken at the moment, or we don't know how to use it. That's the other thing. We might not just be seeing the right settings. It was a while before we even noticed that you could up the chances of your reverse engineering by moving a slider.
Fucking hell, that took us like 2 days. We were like Nina was just one, like, because we found out in the localization test, like, so we found out before everyone else did, but we weren't allowed to release that information because that, like, obviously the NDA and blah blah blah. So like a lot of the stuff we couldn't release specifics on certain mechanics, so like that was one of the things I couldn't release in that video with the changes to the new final test stuff. So like when the slide, there's not even a slider there. You literally have to click the picture and move it across, so it doesn't even give you an indication that there is a slider there at all. It just says at one point on the UI that it is 1 out of 5, maybe 1/5. So then you're like, oh, I wonder when I'm going to start long pressing everything on the UI to see if it works. And then that was there. Just a quick question from Chivalry. Do you know what type of build fit those people were using with their drones? Because I've been trying to drone boat ever since the first day of a closed beta test, and my DPS always remains low as fuck. Yes, I do use shits with drone bonuses, and I've always skilled drones up. It really depends. It's the rigs. To be honest, when it comes to DPS and everything, it depends on the lows and the rigs. If you have high... It's the same with the banana boats. The banana boats get given T3 rigs from the get-go. You get given all faction items that make your DPS stupid. So, like, you get jumped up. Like, the banana boat will not be nearly as powerful if given to you for free with no faction loot and T3 rigs.
But, right, so all the guns are faction loot. There's no and ifs or buts about it. So if they're going to give you guns for the boat, then you're going to get the faction guns, even if you don't get the T3 rigs. As for Chivalry's question, trust me, I like theory crafting. I'm fairly good at it. And I've been looking at the drone boats. I've been trying with one of the alts. And like you, I run into that issue that the drones are simply underwhelming. Using the drone boats with rigs, with the lows, it's not in comparison to what you can dish out with a Harbinger. We're not even going to talk about the Young. It's not even what you can dish out with, in comparison to a Caracal, and they've been nerfed to the ground in comparison to the open beta.
It's an interesting middle ground that they took by having drone slots, but it's not a primary weapon system. But you have ships that give bonuses to it as the primary weapon system. It's just they took the last beta where it's really good, and then they nerfed it a little bit too much. There's got to be a happy medium between where it was and where it is.
This is the major issue. Like, being a mod, I have to listen to every single fucking complaint that ever comes through the Eve Echoes Discord, all of them. And there was a copious amount of bitching. Even though the drones were very well balanced in the beta, the first beta, they were quite well balanced on other ships, but people, because of whatever fucking reason, hated the fact that they were in high slots and they didn't have their secondary weapons like the blasters, the lasers, and blah blah blah. Now they've added the ships to its own separate drone slot on the side. It's not quite a mid slot, but it's its own separate slot. And then they added a 5% damage bonus to a skill somewhere in the ships that have drones. So like, if a ship has damage bonus to drones, they will also have a 5% damage bonus to a specific weapon type as a secondary or primary or whatever it is. And people complained a lot, and then the devs changed it. That's what happened. The same with the UI. Everyone complained about the UI, and then when they changed the UI, everyone said that no one complained about the UI. Like, it's the people that are changing that kind of thing, because the devs are actually listening to the large groups of people that actually don't know what the fuck they're talking about. One person says, "Oh, this UI is shit," so then everyone and their mum just bleats along like a little sheep and goes, "Oh, yeah, this fucking UI is shit. This fucking is," and then they ruin the game. Without being like, it's just that's why I hate the internet.
I've been trying to suggest stuff about the UI, just various things, especially with like fleet command. Fleet commander should be able to use the focus fire command to order his fleet to do stuff.
Does that not? I think they said that they would add that. I'm pretty sure that's a good point. I think that one's been accepted.
One of the things about the fleet that I have to say is, I like the fact that they've added in a bit more functionality compared to the open beta, but the double acceptance tap. When I, as a fleet commander, I say, jump through this gate. So first you get a notification saying that I sent that order.
If you see it before it disappears.
If you see it before it disappears, because it's there for like 2 seconds, then you have to tap that, and then you have to tap another button to actually perform the action. Now, please there could be a tick box in your settings that say automatically accept fleet commands.
I mean, it literally does it with repairs. You can deny. You can just have it auto repair. It doesn't even ask you anymore. You can get rid of the question. Are you sure?
Yeah. So, it's that's what. As someone who runs in fleets, and I mean, I actually tried running a fleet yesterday. And I think I saw you were in it.
It was very intuitive for me. For my personal, like listening to you, FC, and the UI, it was very intuitive. The one thing I didn't like was the double click. That was annoying as shit for me. You click the button that pops up to say approach or warp, and then it says, "Are you sure you want to do that?" If you like click it and you forget like sometime that you need to double click it, like you're being left like 4 jumps behind, and the FC is like, "Oh, where's this guy?" The double click is annoying. It should have click this to ignore this second thing ever again.
Honestly, it should have, like I said, it should have a tick box that basically you don't have to approve it at all. You just simply accept.
Well, I think part of what they were going for is an extra step because bots.
Yes, 100%. It is, but it's still annoying.
Okay, a bot will not be stopped by that. A bot will not be stopped by that because
that's exactly the problem.
You move that. Yeah, because you can set exactly where that is, and it shows up the same place every time. So any bot can easily be programmed to
double click.
Exactly, it's not hard.
And do that. It's
if that was their purpose for it, it's useless.
Yes.
See, most of the decisions you are seeing right now, nearly all of the decisions you're seeing right now that are a detriment to the game are because of RMT. The ones that are limiting us is because of bots and RMT.
And by the way, that's not going to stop, because
of course it isn't.
you can use targeted sales from an Omega account and a swarm of small bot accounts using targeted purchases to inject ISK into the market. It's not going away.
And you can also give 50 corp clones to like your corp, so you can just make everyone Omega anyway.
Yep.
So look, I already said to the devs, when they turned around and said you can't withdraw from the wallet, I turned around and we found a way straight away using the corp hanger to get all of these items to one person who had the ISK. Like, there was a way around all of it. So
and the other thing is, anyone who considers, like a $5 to get Omega, it's just a cost of doing business. That just means that the price of the RNG will go up slightly, and the game still has an infinite model of progression. So it's not going to change.
Yep.
Yeah, they do make money from Omega sales anyway, from the Corp Omega, because it does require Plex that we have to buy, so they make money for it.
Yeah, so Plex doesn't just appear in the market.
No, Plex is not going to just appear anywhere, and it's... I'm just going to do a quick thank you for the follows 1 second. Malasite, thank you. Dig Dug, thank you. Zelazny, Jezdrab, thank you. Lembani, I already said thank you 1 hour ago, but thank you. The rest of you, follow.
How about the Plex wallet?
What about the Plex wallet?
Well, what's your impression of it?
The fact that it once exists for the corporation.
And it doesn't work because you still have to pay your own personal Plex.
Not just for the corporation, but also for your account. So at the moment,
so you have to have an individual. Yeah,
the Plex wallet is not account wide, it's bound per character, which I think that is another unnecessary step, because no matter how I get the Plex, it will have been bought somehow. They will have made the money. Why can't I have a shared Plex account so I can apply Omega?
Well, they said they didn't think we needed it.
Yeah?
That's what they said to me. They didn't think we needed it when I went to them and asked them, because I was like, I can't trade my Plex. I bought like 3 loads of double Omega for each of my characters on the account, and I couldn't trade it over. So I said to them, well, what?
It's because if you were to put Plex through a corp hanger, they wouldn't be getting their tax on it. That's what it is. Every single item moving back and forth is taxed to hell. Market.
There's 3 taxes on a contract. 3. What the?
Man, this sounds like a cell phone company to me.
50 million ISK. I wanted to contract something for 50 million ISK from one character to another, and it cost me 5 million ISK to do it.
Yes.
From 3 different
taxes. It cost you 5 million ISK, plus the 10,000 ISK fee, plus a 5% tax from the character receiving it.
But you can always just put some skills in and mitigate it. Just go expert trade skills. You'll be fine. On every character under the sun who could possibly want to do trading.
So you have to spend 5 months getting everything to expert to not worry about trade because every character needs it. It's like, what's happening?
Yeah, Nina, you get the
the deposit back.
The deposit, that's one. Thank you.
Just the deposit.
Yeah,
but you cancel the contract.
It all goes away.
Oh my god! If you can, so at least they fixed the fact that you can change a sale order on the market now and not have to delete it and lose everything. Like that's
something I found interesting about that was when I did it. I changed the purchase order from like 50 mil to it was 20 mil to 70 mil. It said that it was doing something about changing the value, but the money was never withdrawn from my wallet. I didn't actually have the difference. But the purchase order was still in the market for 70 mil.
Exploiting hacks.
However, once I hit that margin, like that point where I had enough to make up the difference, it got subtracted instantly.
So just when you just let me know when you have the money and you can send it to me then. Like that's a pretty good marketplace, man. That's like some old school ancient Egypt shit. We're like, yeah, you can send me your linen next week, don't worry about it, here's some fruit. It's like, what the fuck? Makes no sense. Like there's a lot. So the main decision. Okay, so the main decision that I'm upset with at the moment. Oh, actually, I'm gonna go to Sam. What's your biggest hate and your biggest love of this test so far?
My biggest hate is scrolling through infinite lists of copies or application lists trying to find the right one and having to figure out who means what.
Add a search button.
And also, any search button takes you away from the actual text screen and brings it to a full typing screen, which is blank. That's just dumb. Anyway, my biggest love, probably the fleet changes and the fact that I'm playing the game again.
True, I'm really happy playing the game again, even though that I couldn't play it twice and I almost got 2 characters deleted and I almost ruined my reason to play the game from the beginning. But I'm still having a lot of fun, mainly because of the people I'm playing with.
Not that you're bitter or anything.
No, I'm mainly.
Actually, can I insert one thing?
Yes.
I want the ability to contact someone who is trying to apply to our corporation because they want to join us. I can't.
You ask them questions.
I couldn't figure it out at
through that menu.
You have to find the specific character. That character has to be in the system with you. You have to make that character a friend, and then you can talk to them.
Well, there's another way to do it. You could go through your contacts page and add them, but that's more steps when it could just be a button literally right on their user.
There on the user interface.
But again, I believe that's just not fully implemented. I think it's in the plans. I'm sure they plan to do it, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But oh my god, we need some filtering on that list. Oh man,
we need corp ledgers. We need some way to see what's been taken out and what's been put in. Who's taking what out? Who's putting what in? That's something we need.
I need the ability to know who donated to the corp. I need the ability to output the entire corp wallet as a CSV export, please. I need the ability to just manage the whole corporation just like I can in EVE Online, because the corporations are just as big, they're just as complex, and we have to figure them out and not have to spend our time beating our head against the wall, manually entering and copying data out of the game so that we can put it into a format that we can actually manage. You know, I don't want to pull all of the names of my corpies out of the game and put them into a spreadsheet so I can know who has and has not left the corporation.
Because this is supposed to be easier. We're not supposed to have to make spreadsheets. It's a mobile game. Well, I can't jump onto the game and have half the game screen as my game screen and the other half as a spreadsheet I can add information to. Like, you're supposed to be able to play on the go. These things are supposed to be inserted into the game. Like, I don't agree that we should get the API. If we got the API, it'd probably be the biggest mistake the game would ever make for me, in my opinion. I hate that fact.
Why?
I'd like for them to be... So if you could...
Is it because of the entry level of the API? The API requires you to be a dev to be able to use it.
That's literally what an API is, though.
No, but I mean, like, if they specifically contracted the API, if they created an API, because the API is not created yet, if they created to content creators that are making certain things, like Muffet, for example, who's creating a system where you do a fitting system. If they go to certain content creators and say, look, you need to make this using the API, thank you, and there isn't people stealing your information or accessing your accounts in the game or any of this other shit that you can do with an API, because you can access everything, including your IP from an API. The IP you log into the game with. I don't agree with APIs, not because of my information.
What information is available to the API, I think.
It's so insane. Like, it's what EVE Online does.
So they don't have to make it everything, but we have to get somewhere in the automation of this sort of information.
Yep.
The API is not read-only info in EVE Online. They can literally send mail from your character when they don't have a fucking login.
That's the problem.
That's a setting. That's just a setting, though. We don't have to have it.
Yeah, but we don't have to have access to write, but it is there. Like, the API does have read and write. They just have to turn off the write, and you don't have to worry.
Yeah. But the other
only
thing
if it's allowed with the API key. Yes.
You see, I am very happy with EVE Online's API system. The fact that you can see what everyone has skilled, the fact that you can see all of their wallet transactions, their mails, their everything about the game. As a person who runs a corporation, the fact that you can, vet someone, know that they are or are not a corp thief is an astoundingly good system for me. Yes, okay, you're like, looking at someone's life history in the game, and you can see everything. But at the same time, you could see most of that anyway if you just sifted through all of the various stats of the game on the interface. Yes, there are some things you can't, and that is somewhere where I'm happy to draw the line. But in my opinion, if you can manually do it by sifting through the interface, then you should be able to have a way of doing it in a more automated fashion for people who just need to get this stuff done but don't have the time to slave away at the interface in a manual data entry way.
And with the API, you can make it your way. It's just an interface to read the data. You can have various programs that do different functionality.
But see, the things like, say for the kill board, for example, that's quite easy. Right, I say it's quite easily made. You have to be a developer to create this sort of shit. But that's quite easily made by a development team. The Echoes team, if in 6 months' time, had some more time to spend doing some shit, they could quite easily create a kill board in a month as a team. And it be part of the game. Yep. Easily. Like, we don't need third parties to be accessing shit on, because phones, okay, PCs are one thing. There's a certain lines of defenses on PCs, but you can phones. What fucking lines of defenses do you have on phones? Like, if they allow the writing access of the API and stuff like that, there's a lot of security worries. That's mainly probably why they're not saying they're going to release an API.
Okay, but I have a question for you. Who paid Muffet to build his tool?
No one.
And what did he build?
A fitting tool that he has to manually update because there's no API.
Yeah, what else did he build?
That's it.
No, he didn't. He built a skill planner. He built a killboard system. He built a complete companion to the game.
Yes.
Now, he's just a developer chilling in his own way, and he just built this thing on his own dime, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what an API does for a game like Eve. It allows people to just develop things, and NetEase doesn't have to put it in their budget. They don't have to justify the costs. The people make it because they are passionate about it and because that's what they want to do, and they make it how they want it. They're not governed by something of this is how it has to be because we're paying you to do it. That's not how that stuff has to happen.
I just miss the days where we didn't have to worry about, like, someone could find out your entire history of playing the game in a split second without ever having to worry. Like, you can't spy, you can't jump into a corp. Say for instance, a corp, like, I don't know, fucking Fraternity gets destroyed, there's nothing left of them, and then you go over to, I don't know, PanFam, and they look and see that you've been part of Fraternity for blah blah a certain amount of years, and they say you can't join us. Because you were part of an alliance for a certain amount of time before, because they can see that. How do they even fucking know that information? It's metagaming. Metagaming for me is bullshit. I hate it.
This is a game where spying, metagaming, and espionage and corpse theft are encouraged. Scamming is encouraged. You have to be able to combat like with like if you're going to have it one way or the other. You can't say scamming is in, but we're not going to allow you to do anything to figure out who and what is going on with the scamming.
No checking, no verifying.
It's just...
I mean, the thing with the API though, like, APIs, they decide what gets shown and they give you an interface to work with. It's not like you're going to have access to other shit. So I don't know what they're trying to do with that or why.
No, but in EVE Online, when you're developing it, you actually you decide what information you give and take from the players, and you have to sign this thing that says you're not going to fuck anyone over. But it's a literal form.
The API is their decision of what information gets released through using the API.
Yeah,
it's just that
everyone information.
They don't limit it. What they're doing is they're literally just feeding you from the fire hose. Here, just have the entire account output to, a data structure. Here, just parse this. Now you have everything about that person, and you can do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, that's true.
But if they didn't want to give it out, they don't have to. If they find a particular node as a game-breaking aspect, then they can just remove it from the data. It's not that problematic. But they can produce some really freaking basic stuff that gives you the ability to manage yourself, your own aspect. Like, how do you deal with the fact that you have 5 or 10 accounts and you're doing various parts of the game and you want to track skills? You want to see who is not skilling on their account. You want a notification. Are you going to ask the devs for every little bit of change to the game, or are you going to ask the devs for the ability for you to create a companion that can manage it yourself and they don't have to pay for it?
I think the biggest thing is if you really want an API, probably start listing. I mean, I don't know whether they're going to do it. I'm not spokesperson for anybody. I'm just saying, list what would work. Come to them with a list and say, hey, would this be viable? Could you do this?
They could literally do anything when it comes to the API, or they're saying it's going to be very difficult on the, for whatever reason, that it will be more difficult than usual. I don't know, I'm not a developer, but they have added all this random stuff, and I don't know, I'm just not a fan of APIs because it's a rabbit hole that ends up being, for me, it ruined a lot of aspects of EVE Online, a lot of shit. And a lot of EVE Online players are like, no, because the game's too fucking difficult, we have to know everything and all bits of information. Literally, a new bit of information gets released, a new bit of content gets released in EVE Online. Within 2 seconds, someone's gone in the API and found out what the exact fucking weaknesses of every ship is. It's just like, and it's already on the internet. You don't have to guess anything. You don't have to work towards anything like in the old MMO days where if a new dungeon got released, you'd have to spend fucking ages trying to figure out the actual... But in EVE Online, you just go, oh look, there's the API, thank you. There's all the information. Oh, nice one. They're there. So we'll use the MR ships to kill those guys because they have this resist.
See, that's the
hull.
wrong information, though. Like, well, I guess not, because you need that for the fitting tools.
Yeah,
See,
you can't filter this shit out. If you have all the information for the resists or the fighting or whatever it is for the fitting tool, you're gonna have to have all the information, because they can't just limit the certain amounts of information from certain things. It just ruins a certain aspect for the game.
But then
for
you
me.
also stop people investing time and then losing shit. So it's a double-edged sword. It helps, but it takes away.
The other thing is, a lot of the aspects of third-party programs in EVE Online were made, and then later CCP said, oh, you know what, that's a really cool thing. Let's implement it into the game. Let's have an output of fitting tools into the game. So someone else created the idea and said, this is what we need, and built it and made it work. And then the devs caught on and actually made it a part of it.
The fitting tool is a perfect example of that.
That's no, like it isn't. That's like Steam Workshop, like creating mods for Ark and then putting those mods in. Like they're releasing paid DLCs for some random dude sitting in his office creating a map. Like it's lazy developing.
That is the power of the crowd, because no developer, no matter how good, can think of everything.
Yeah,
there
exactly.
will always be things that they just do not have the scope to manage. And then a player comes along who's ingenious, and the EFT, right, the Eve fitting tool was the first one of these. And someone went out and they made that, and it became a must-have for everybody. And Eve, the developers turned around, CSP turned around and said, wow, this is amazing. And now all of that functionality is part of the game. Hell, much of that functionality is part of Eve Echo's fitting tool.
That's what you're talking about, where it shows like offense, defense, like all that statistical information right up front, EHP.
Yes.
Also a theoretical builder of what you could have if you were to put it together as a theoretical simulation.
That's the part that Eve Echoes doesn't have yet, but EVE Online has implemented that, where you can fit to the theory crafting bits, where you can say, well, what happens if I put this on, and what happens if I put this on? And
the overarching problem that Eve Echoes has is that people are going to do shit whether the devs want them to or not. They're just making it harder for them to do it. So you're putting speed bumps out, but that doesn't stop people from doing it.
But it does stop people from doing it if they can do it easier elsewhere.
My hands are freaking frozen.
Rip.
Sovereign, check Discord quickly.
Un momento, por favor. Got it. What is it? Right, actually, yeah, no, so if, because Swede has to go because he has to start his streams, and Sam's obviously dying in the cold outside, so we might have to cut it short here. Jesus, where, what the look at that view!
Dude, put on some gloves and love it, because damn, that looks really nice.
He's living out in the middle of bastard nowhere.
But yes, I have to get going to get stream started.
Yeah.
So thank you all for having me again and for the discussion. And to everybody who's here watching and listening, please if you have any thoughts, if you have any constructive criticism, any suggestions for improvement, or if you think you have identified something that seems like a strange decision, like Sov said earlier, reach out to Sov, to Nina, to me, to Sam, because we are doing our best to communicate with NetEase, with the developers, to put this across. Because, like I said before, we are all here because we do love this game. We want this game to continue and to succeed, and we need everybody to help out and step up with this. So I'm asking you all to do that. But yeah, and with that, I'm gonna bow out for the night. I'm gonna.
Do you want to spam your stream link in the channel? Thank you for the Twitch Prime, Kelbeck. Thank you for the Twitch Prime, and I got rid of the R in my sentence there for some reason.
Here we go. Let me do this.
Tell them to remove the pay-to-win JY ships. Is that like a budget KY jelly company or something? That's what they are going to become. You think they're going to become pay-to-win? They're going to be bought on the shop, even though they've said that specifically that there'll be no ships sold?
I think people are just a little touchy because you have an example like EA and their garbage. It's another publisher, but they've done some shady.
Yeah, but it's true. I mean, like, fucking hell. What was it? The grandfather of free-to-play, money-making, stealing mechanics was RuneScape.
I'm heading out. Take care, guys.
Right,
thank you so much again.
Take it easy, guys. Make sure to go check out Crazy Swede's stream. We'll probably be playing together and doing some madness, testing some shit out. So that'll probably, because I'm free tonight, so I'll be jumping on with Crazy Swede later.
Awesome. I'll be doing PvP fleet, so all the fun.
Sweet.
Right, see you in a bit.
Take it easy, man. Right, so everyone, we're gonna call it there because Sam's gonna die of frost exposure. I need to get some stuff together before I start my PvP roam this evening. Get some more content done. I need to write the video for the Yangjing ships and also what the game is going to be deciding to do recently. Some of the decisions that have been made. We'll see how it goes with that one. Sam, if you want to put the link to the Discord for Trimark Heavy Industries, one of the corps you should definitely try to join if you'd like to be part of a large industry dynasty.
Hey, we
have time to bring on applicants.
Huh? Don't bring on the applicants. Oh yeah, sorry. Don't apply. Don't apply for Trimark.
I said try to join if we have the time to bring on applicants.
Does anyone in the chat have any questions to any of us on the team? Kelbeck, Kelbeck wants you to contact him in the Discord. I want my grid back. I like to see range plus orientation is useful. Yeah, the grid will be back. There's just a bug that stops it from opening. It's actually there in the game. It just doesn't come up on the screen. So you can click it and it actually goes into the tactical view, but the range finder isn't there. Right, Stapler, do you want to say goodbye? Say anything? Right. Fine.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Alright guys, thank you very much. This is Echoes number 9, where we talked about the good, the bad, and the fugly with the actual final test. We'll do one final follow-up to see if there's any changes next week, and then we'll go back on to talking about certain aspects of the games, starting off with scamming. I want to thank you all for coming. I want you to fly safe and avoid local chat scams. Peace.
Cheers.